Hey there, adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. I am here with my cohort Merlin in the wilds of Wichita, Kansas. He's not having fun at all. But today we are going to talk about descriptive ways to introduce new areas to your players. So the reason I came outside for this was to kind of give you guys some inspiration for ways that you can learn to describe areas in different ways. And the mosquitoes are hell in Wichita. Welcome. So anytime you are introducing your players into a new area or dungeon, you're going to want to use the 5 senses. So touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. So anytime they enter into a new space, you're going to want to talk about those things. So for example, if they were here in this nice little wooded area, how would I describe this to them? So as you are walking through the woods in the early morning and it begins to wear on, the faint bites of mosquitoes begin to pester you throughout the day. The air is hot and heavy in your lungs, and just, it feels like you're living in a swamp. You can hear the faint sing-song of different birds in the background as your soft steps fall upon the sandy earth. And you come upon a set of tracks. Maybe we should go see these tracks. I did actually find some tracks. It was kind of fun. So we walked this path a little bit earlier, and there are, in fact, some deer tracks that run along this. So I thought that was kind of fun. My spot in the dappled sunlight. And I'm glad that I put down my bag to sit on, because there's mulberries everywhere. Eek. Oh God. So, I will say this, adventuring appears much more glamorous in Dungeons & Dragons than I imagine it actually is. So anytime you are taking your adventurers into a new space, think about the space. Is it a cave? Is it dry? Humid? What kinds of sounds would they hear in there? Would there be the trickling of water, or the faint echoing of the screech of bats, birds, the roar of wild animals? Just think about it. And then, what would they be tasting? The air here tastes like earth, because we're in the woods. So it's kind of a green taste, very organic. But if they're in a cave system, it might be kind of like the taste of a slimy mold. You can use those 5 descriptors, those 5 types of senses, as ways to kind of foreshadow things in your campaign as well. So say there's a creature in an area that they're going into that's demonic in nature. You can say, make a perception roll or something, or you can go off their passive. Somebody almost always has a passive higher than 10, and you can say something along the lines of, as you near this next room, the smell and taste of brimstone and ash enters your mouth. And that's kind of a foreshadowing of something demonic in nature, or something hellish. So that's a good tool for you to use. This is a great place for inspiration, because even listening to the sounds of the birds here, it's like if your party was walking through a forest and there was about to be a random encounter, you could say, up ahead you hear the alarming cries of a bird or some other creature, and then the adventurers could happen upon some sort of combat or conflict, and then decide whether or not they wanted to intercede. Another thing I want to cover briefly is word choice. So even if you use those 5 senses, try to pick words that are more specific. So when you say, oh, there's a stream up ahead, you can say it that, or you can say something along the lines of, ahead of you, you hear the burbling, trickling sound of what you think is a stream. And then when they happen upon the stream, burbling and trickling just lends the impression that the stream is smaller. But if it was something like a river, you could say you hear a roaring and crashing sound up ahead of you, and then they could run into a full-blown river, the size of which is entirely up to you. But the differences in those word choices are more descriptive of what's going on than just, oh, you hear the sound of water up ahead. And if you say something is enormous instead of saying something is large, that's more descriptive as well. Really? You helping? He's helping. So all I'm saying is pick more specific words. Try and come up with synonyms for words that are boring. For example, green. Green is not very specific. Now, if you said emerald green, bright green, lime, or even the word verdant, which is a very old word for green, lends a more specific description to the color you're talking about. When I say verdant, I think of a green that's more vibrant and natural when I say that, versus if I just said green. Everyone's going to picture a different shade of green in their head. It could be Kelly green or sage green. Nobody fucking knows. So hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable and the change of scenery wasn't too startling for you. Merlin and I just want to thank you for being here with us this week. And until next time, keep it rolling, adventurers. Oh, Merlin. Buddy, that was your drinking water. Why did you sit in that? Tell us about it, buddy. You're getting mulberries all up in your fur. Everywhere. God, I have a pink dog. Oh, God, what have I done? Fucking weirdest video ever. It's gonna be a bitch to edit. I keep waiting for a deer to, like, walk through the background. That would be hilarious. Or with my luck, a snake would crawl in my lap. It's a good thing I'm not scared of snakes. If it's a spider, then maybe screaming. Yeah. Ooh, there's a blue jay. He's so nice.